The HRWize system provides you with a feature that allows your employees to submit their expenses and for their managers to approve them. To use expense management, if it's not already enabled, first, turn it on via the module display section by going to Administration, Company, Settings, and then Display Settings. Then, you tick the Expense Management. Once you've done so, we'll need to configure expense settings before employees can enter their expenses. So we'll go to Administration, Company, Settings, Expenses, and then Expense Settings. Here you select Yes to enable expenses. Here we can enter a declaration for all of your employees to use when submitting those expenses. Here, you can choose one or more currencies that your employees can use when creating an expense report. Here you can select Claim or Line. Claim means that all entries in the expense report will be the same currency. However, selecting Line means that a different currency could be used for each line in the expense report. You can choose here to have no currency conversion or have currency conversion, and the employee may or may not be allowed to overwrite the conversion value. If you do choose to allow the employees to overwrite the conversion value, you'll be asked to enter the threshold percentage in which the employee can update the figure without triggering an alert. If the employee does adjust the value, a notice will be displayed to the approver of the request to inform them that a change has been made. Here, you can choose whether you want receipts to be added for each line or at the end of the claim. We'll look at the mileage settings separately, so now we're done, so we click on Submit. Now that we have our expense settings configured, we can move on now and look at how to create expense categories for using in our expense claims. So we'll go to Administration, Company, Settings, Expenses, and then Expense Categories. Here you can see a list of some of the expense categories that have already been set up. We can click on the Add button to add a new category, but let's take a look at one of the categories that we have already been added by clicking on the Edit action. Here we can see the minimum requirement for the category, which is the name and the status, either active or inactive. But we can also add other useful information such as a code, a limit, and even restrict access by department or by site. Once done, you can click on Submit to save the changes or cancel to not save the changes. Now that we've configured our expense categories and set up expense categories, your employees can now begin to enter their expenses via self-service.